Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't do something, you're right. That quote ties into self-efficacy because self-efficacy is the belief in one's own abilities. The renowned psychologist who originally coined the term self-efficacy is named Albert Bandura, and Albert Bandura had postulated that there are 4 concepts which hinge upon the principle of self-efficacy. These concepts are mastery, modeling, persuasion, and psychology. With mastery, that's when you have the comprehensive knowledge for a skill or a subject. And for example, you could master how to drive a car, master how to ride a bike, or master a subject. And for myself, I won't say that I mastered this specific subject, but I will say that I became proficient in it, and that subject is neuroscience. With neuroscience, I discovered how the brain works, and I had also discovered how to learn material in the best way, because that's basically the foundation of neuroscience. With me having this knowledge, I was able to master or become proficient in a multitude of different subjects, and this increased my own sense of self-efficacy. Now, I wasn't always like that where I knew how to master subjects or become proficient in them, because I specifically remember when I was younger in high school at a place in Texas, I had for the first time discovered the concept of modeling. And modeling is when you see someone similar to yourself achieve a goal, which gives you the belief that you can achieve the same goal. So while I was in Texas, I remember my high school teacher at that time, the history teacher, anytime he was getting ready to wrap up his class, he would hand out homework to all of us, and there was this girl who I was sitting next to who would just knock out her homework as soon as the professor or the teacher handed her the homework. After some time, I kind of took notice of this, and it just started to intrigue me, so I started to ask her some questions. I started to ask her, what's your philosophy on school? How come you always do this anytime we're getting ready to leave? And she had explained to me that the reason why she does her homework so quickly is because she doesn't want to think about it when she comes home. She wants to be able to go out with her friends, go out to party, go hang out with her boyfriend, and that's why she knocks out her homework so quickly. Once she had basically broken down her whole philosophy of school to me, I had copied her model or her whole framework for studying, and then I made it my own, and I was able to achieve the same level of success that she did. This actually leads me to the next point, where even though you may be extremely prepared for something, you still may need a little extra push in order to attain your goal. And this next point is persuasion. Persuasion is basically, at least in this realm of self-efficacy, persuasion is when someone convinces you to do something that you may not believe you can do yourself. So I remember when I was in college, I was in this group. We had to give a group presentation to the dean of our college. And although we had rehearsed and prepared significantly in advance, I was overcome with nerves when it was 5 minutes till we had to give our presentation to the dean. As I was overcome with nerves, I started to explain to one of my group members that I don't really feel up to doing this presentation. You can just write me out of the presentation and take credit for what I did, and I'm just going to sit back and chill. And that group member had put his hand around my shoulder, and he said, no, you'll be fine. It'll be just like we rehearsed. All you have to do is read these couple of lines right here, and then you'll be perfectly fine. And in that moment, he had convinced me to do the presentation. He had taken me from a state of panic to a state of calm, and I was just really shocked by the whole situation, but just by him being so considerate of how I was feeling, I was able to give the presentation to the dean. We ended up getting an A in the class. The fact that he took my mind from a state of panic to a state of calm relates to the next principle, which is psychology. Psychology basically deals with your mindsets, your emotional states, and your stress levels. A perfect example of this is when I first began Toastmasters. I was pretty positive I would also be overcome with nerves if I just showed up to Toastmasters and someone called upon me to speak. So since I knew this beforehand, what I chose to do was to practice 3 different things, which helped me significantly. That was meditation, breathing exercises, and rehearsal. With meditation, I would basically just sit in a chair and find some object to focus on that would keep me calm, like a flower or some item that just made me feel at ease. With the breathing exercises, I had discovered that most people, whenever they're nervous before they give a presentation, they engage in this type of a shallow breathing from their chest, whereas from the research I've done, I found out that what you're supposed to do is lie on your back and do a 4-count inhale and a 4-count exhale, and this will start to change your physiological state as well as your psychological state, and you'll be more calm if you practice this on a consistent basis. With the last one, rehearsal, one quote that I've been trying to live by as much as possible ever since I learned about it is, before you can go somewhere in the body, you have to go to the mind first. Once I had learned that quote, I realized that I didn't want to just show up to Toastmasters in my body, and then when they call upon me to speak, I say no, because I haven't gone there in my mind. So with that quote, I was already aware of what they do at Toastmasters. So what I told myself is that I'm going to rehearse at home, which I did. I'm going to rehearse in front of the video camera, rehearse in front of the mirror, rehearse if there is no video camera or mirror, just so I can internalize my message completely. As I practiced all three of these things, I felt more than ready to start giving speeches at Toastmasters, and that contributed to a significant amount to my success with Toastmasters. So if you ever feel the need to increase self-efficacy in your own life, just try to remember mastery, modeling, persuasion, and psychology, and I guarantee you will all be successful. Thank you.